Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into a story that feels like it's straight out of a Hollywood movie, but it's absolutely true. It's a tale of forbidden love, high-stakes espionage, and unwavering courage set against the backdrop of one of history's greatest conflicts. This is the story of Georg and Elena, a German officer and a Russian spy, whose love defied the very war that was meant to keep them apart. Our story begins in the winter of 1941, on the brutal Eastern Front. The world was engulfed in World War II, and the conflict between Germany and the Soviet Union was at its peak. Here, we meet Captain Georg Fuchs, a distinguished German intelligence officer. He was known for his sharp mind and his adherence to duty. Stationed in occupied Belarus, Georg's world was one of strict military order, strategic planning, and the cold reality of war. He was a professional, respected by his peers and a symbol of German military discipline. But deep within the same occupied territory, another equally formidable individual was operating in the shadows. Her name was Elena, though she went by many aliases. She was a highly trained operative for the NKVD, the Soviet secret police. Posing as a local translator named Lena, her mission was to gather intelligence on German troop movements and military plans. She was cunning, resourceful, and deeply committed to her cause. Her life was a constant performance, a delicate dance of deception where one wrong move could mean death. Their paths were destined to cross at the German command headquarters where Georg worked. Elena, in her guise as Lena, was assigned as a translator for his unit. It was a high-risk placement, putting her right in the lion's den. From the moment they met, there was an undeniable, though unspoken, connection. Georg was struck by her intelligence and her quiet dignity, qualities that seemed out of place amidst the chaos of war. He saw a depth in her eyes that went beyond her simple role as a translator. For Elena, Georg was an anomaly. He wasn't the cruel, one-dimensional enemy she had been trained to despise. He treated her with respect and kindness, a rarity for an officer of his rank. He would often engage her in conversations about literature and music, finding a shared passion that transcended their national identities. In these brief, stolen moments, they found a fragile common ground, a small island of humanity in an ocean of conflict. As weeks turned into months, their professional relationship blossomed into a clandestine romance. They knew the immense danger they were in. Their love was a betrayal to both of their nations. For Georg, loving a Russian woman was unthinkable. For Elena, falling for a German officer was a direct contradiction of her mission and her loyalty to her homeland. Every shared glance, every whispered conversation, was a gamble with their lives. They would meet in secret, in secluded spots away from prying eyes, a quiet corner of a library, a deserted park after curfew. These moments were their sanctuary. They talked about their dreams, their pasts, and their hopes for a future without war, a future they both knew was almost impossible. For Elena, this growing love created a profound internal conflict. She was falling for the man she was supposed to be betraying. Each piece of intelligence she gathered felt like a personal betrayal of Georg. Meanwhile, Georg was also walking a tightrope. He began to question the ideology he served. His love for Elena opened his eyes to the human cost of the war, a cost that was no longer just an abstract statistic. He started to see the conflict not as a clash of nations, but as a tragedy affecting real people, people like Elena. He began to subtly use his position to protect her, diverting suspicion and covering her tracks whenever he could, without fully knowing the extent of her espionage activities. The turning point came in 1943. Elena received a coded message from her handlers. The intelligence she had gathered was crucial for a major Soviet offensive, but transmitting it would expose the leak within the German headquarters, putting not only herself but also Georg in immediate danger. The NKVD was ruthless, and they wouldn't hesitate to sacrifice her if it meant a strategic advantage. Similarly, if the Gestapo discovered Georg's complicity or even his romantic involvement, he would be executed as a traitor. Elena was faced with an impossible choice: fulfill her duty to her country or protect the man she loved. In a moment of profound courage, she made her decision. She chose love. Instead of passing on the critical information, she sent back a heavily redacted and misleading report, buying them precious time. It was a monumental act of defiance, an act of treason against her own side, driven by her love for Georg. She knew they couldn't stay. Her actions would eventually be discovered. She confessed everything to Georg: her true identity, her mission, her choice to protect him. Stunned but resolute, Georg made his own choice in an instant. His loyalty was no longer to his country's flag, but to the woman standing before him. He knew their only chance was to escape, to disappear together. Their escape was a harrowing ordeal. Using Georg's knowledge of military protocols and Elena's skills in stealth and deception, they planned their getaway. They forged travel documents, secured a vehicle, and gathered meager supplies. Under the cover of a chaotic night, amidst an air raid, they slipped away from the command post. They journeyed west, navigating through enemy lines, partisan-controlled forests, and suspicious checkpoints. Every shadow could be an enemy, every knock on the door a potential discovery. They were hunted by both sides. The Gestapo wanted Georg for treason, and the NKVD wanted Elena for desertion and betrayal. They were truly alone, with only each other to rely on. Their love, once a secret source of strength, was now their only lifeline. They traveled for weeks, living on the edge, their survival depending entirely on their trust in one another. After an arduous journey, they finally made it to neutral Switzerland. They were refugees, stateless and with nothing but the clothes on their backs, but they were free, and they were together. They started a new life, far from the war that had tried to tear them apart. They changed their names, shedding their past identities to build a future. Georg became a watchmaker, and Elena a librarian. They lived a quiet, unassuming life. They never spoke of their past to anyone. It was their secret, a heavy but precious burden they shared. They had children and grandchildren, who grew up knowing them only as loving grandparents, completely unaware of the incredible story of espionage, war, and sacrifice that had brought them together. Georg and Elena's love story remained hidden for decades. It was only after their passing, when their grandchildren were sorting through their belongings, that the truth began to emerge. Tucked away in an old chest, they found a collection of faded letters, a German military medal, and a small, leather-bound diary written in Russian. As they pieced together the clues, the incredible story of the German officer and the Soviet spy who chose love over war finally came to light. The story of Georg and Elena is a powerful testament to the human spirit. It shows that even in the darkest of times, amidst the most brutal of conflicts, love can find a way. It can challenge our loyalties, redefine our identities, and inspire acts of incredible courage. Their choice was a quiet rebellion, a personal declaration of peace in a world at war. It reminds us that behind the grand narratives of history, there are individual human stories of love, sacrifice, and the profound hope for a better world. Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible story. If you found it as moving as we did, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next journey into the hidden corners of history. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay curious.